Today we're going to be talking about how to build confidence in your team.
The most successful teams are built on several key principles. One of those primary key principles is confidence. So stick with us and learn the 3 ideals that we will share with you on how to build confidence in your team.
Nobody wants to be on a team that lacks confidence. When you lack confidence, you don't hit deadlines. You fumble the ball. And it's really hard for your team to pull things together. Everything's last minute and you have challenges and chaos. Nobody wants that. Everybody wants a team that is confident and works together and works like a well-oiled machine. Watch to the end of the episode. We'll be giving away a free gift. We are excited to be here with you today. We impact, influence, and inspire leaders and teams to have the best success possible as they adapt, grow, and thrive.
So the first ideal that we would like to share with you today is to celebrate. Everybody loves a great celebration, right? Celebrate all successes, big and small. Especially celebrate the small successes with an organization that may be struggling, because it's the small things, the small rewards. We get 2 kinds of paychecks when we show up to work. One is the one we put in the bank, and the other one is the one that feeds our soul. And that is acknowledgement, celebration, to feel important, to feel needed, to feel part of the unit. And so remember to celebrate, make a big deal out of successes, large and small.
I had a coach that, as I took a lot of different classes and different things, that really taught me a huge lesson, that when we met weekly, that I got to tell 2 things to celebrate and then 1 failure. And it was called the big fat fail. And I like to call it other things, but it was really good because everybody on the team got to tell 2 successes and 1 fail. And it made it okay to fail. Think about this. When someone makes a mistake in your team, don't all of you know that it was a mistake that was made? Like, everybody in the group knows who did it, what happened. It's a big fat fail. If you can talk about that and recognize that everybody's going to make mistakes, everybody's going to do things wrong, they're going to forget to do a report, they're going to forget to do something that was handed off to them, and maybe they delegate and they didn't tell you all the information you needed, right? Somebody is going to have that opportunity to say, you know what, I did it. This is what I did this week and I totally blew it. Like, I didn't make that phone call. We don't have a connection with that person outside of our company. Whatever it is, it gives you the opportunity to build those relationships on trust, as well as to have the opportunity to celebrate. Not that we want to celebrate every failure, but when we recognize it's there, as we celebrate our successes and as we move forward in that, we celebrate the little things. It's the little things that you do on a consistent basis that will ultimately change your life. And when you celebrate those little things, it can be any accomplishment. When you celebrate the little things, you have more success. You stay in accomplishment mentality, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
But the other thing is, with our failures, it's in our human nature to hide our flaws. We put on makeup, we wear loose-fitting clothes, right? If we have something that doesn't quite measure up, we want to hide it. We want to conceal that from others. And that is something you don't want going on in your organization. So as you do things where you do 2 wins and a loss, and you talk about it, it can be okay to have a loss. Babe Ruth, the greatest home run king, was also a strikeout king as well, okay? But we celebrate big time the successes and acknowledge that was a failure. Can we do better? Yes.
Right. You always want to celebrate.
So I invite you to go ahead, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and put down in the comments below, down here, and just share a time when you felt like it was safe to acknowledge that you were less than 100%, that you had a bit of a mistake, and that you felt safe and that it was okay. And go ahead and just talk about that a little bit. We'd love to hear from you and your experience on that, because it's a huge builder in your organization if people are safe to do that kind.
And also, if you have celebrated your successes and you have something that you'd like to share with us, we'd love to read about it. If you want to put that in there as well, how you've celebrated those celebrations, or if you have that on a regular basis with your management and your team.
In other words, run your organization a little bit like Facebook, where you put all the great, awesome stuff right up for everybody to see. Make sure you do that for your people in your organization.
Ideal number 2 is acknowledgement. Everybody needs to be acknowledged. Every idea needs to be acknowledged. Every idea really needs some shelf life time. Just like we talked about in our last video about how getting shut down just stops all progress and all creativity, we need to be able to have that acknowledgement. You need to acknowledge that they're sharing an idea, or that they're sharing, a different way to do things, or how things could be done differently. But we acknowledge it and we give it a shelf life. Every option, every part of the team that gives us information and gives us feedback will help you. Even a bad suggestion will make everyone's minds think and give you other ways to do things. And when you're trying to really problem solve and you're trying to come to a way to change it up a little bit, a bad suggestion can help everybody with okay, yeah, we could do this or this or this.
It will stimulate them to try and do something better.
You'd be surprised how much growth you can have from a bad idea.
So a great way to make sure that you give an idea a shelf life is to ask good questions. Instead of saying, no, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Were you asleep for the last hour? Not a good option to go there. But ask good questions like, well, how do you see this working? Why do you see this as a benefit? And allow others to add in too, but make sure that you speak to the person so that they have a moment to explain what they're thinking and why they came up with that idea. You can also ask, do you see any potential problems with moving forward with this idea? As you do this, these ideas, the really bad ones, are going to die a natural death without you saying you're very unwise and you're an idiot. You don't have to say it. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's great. They will acknowledge that everybody thought they were an idiot. No, honestly, you do. You get to acknowledge it, and it gets to help move that along, the thought process. Sometimes when we're trying to be creative, we really have to dig, and that helps us get there. Be sure that when you're in acknowledgement, that you remember to thank them.
Absolutely.
And be considerate so that they feel like they belong, and they feel needed, and they feel heard.
And make sure, don't just sit and think, how am I going to get this idea shut down? Really open yourself up to the consideration. Let me tell you a little bit of story about some marijuana growers, okay? They had figured out a way to use every part to extract the most profit they could, every part of the plant.
Wait, we talked about not sharing that story.
Did we? Okay,
go ahead.
But we're going to share the pig story.
Go ahead and share that.
Right. So all they had was like the husk that was left after they ground and mashed everything up from the stem. It's like, what do we do with that? And one guy says, well, hey, we're growing this stuff on farms. Why not feed it to the pigs? And that sounds like a bad idea, right? To get your pigs stoned. But when they did this and they thought about it and they tried it, what they found out was a benefit they never anticipated before. It gave them the munchies. And these pigs got you raise pigs so they gain weight because you sell them by the pound. So pigs with the munchies is a good thing. So even a bad idea, give it some time and you might find there's some great benefits to it.
Pigs with munchies. Gotta love it. Before our last point, I want you to subscribe.
Okay, the third ideal that we would like to share with you today is recognition and appreciation.
Everyone likes to be recognized. We need to recognize what they are doing, not what they're not doing. So much of the time we spend being critical. And if we can take that criticism out and we can acknowledge what's happening and we can acknowledge them for what they are doing, they will do more. Every time. If you set it up, you can do this in parenting, you can do this with your spouse. When you start to acknowledge and appreciate them for what they are doing, you'd be surprised how much more they try to do to make you happy. So it's a really great philosophy that when you are recognizing people for the right reasons, you will get more out of them. You'll be more productive, more effective, and you'll work together better as a team.
So I'd like to share an experience that I had just this last week with my cell phone provider company. I won't tell you who they are, but it starts with a ver and ends with an eyes on. Okay. I didn't tell them who they were, right?
Nope.
Okay, great. So my phone started acting up on me, as phones will do. And I called several times in and kept getting put on hold and then disconnected. And it was in the middle of us moving. And so I didn't have the extra time to be on the phone.
Well, the
for
extra
hours on
time,
end.
what was it? 3 different times you called, almost an hour each time, would get disconnected and get nobody would answer. They were putting him through
And
all
they
these
just
tests that were totally failing.
Yeah, it's like, we can see your phone has a problem, but they wouldn't do anything about it. And I was like, I'm going to call one more time and then I'm going to switch providers. And I got a lady and I told her, I was very calm and nice with my voice, but I says, I've had a really bad experience. This is the worst experience I've had with this company in the 25 years I've been with them. I'm ready to switch providers. Is there anything you can do for me? This is the problem I'm having. She found a way to make it happen right away. And in 5 minutes, I had a new phone being shipped to me. And I asked her, I says, you're amazing. I says, I really appreciate what you're doing. Can I speak to your supervisor? Most time when they ask to speak to your supervisor, it's because you're not happy with them. And I spoke to her supervisor and just told her how amazing this person was to help me through my problem. I said, she literally saved you a customer of 25 years. I was ready to go elsewhere. And she made it happen. She got it done. So I just want to let you know how great of a job she's doing. She probably deserves a pay raise. Her supervisor did not promise that she would give her a pay raise. But she says, this is great. Thank you for making my day. Says it's so awesome to hear something positive about our employees. And let me tell you how she's going to be recognized. She'll be recognized about 3 levels up through her management as to, they will all know, and she'll get a little certificate. And also she'll be recognized amongst her peers and the people on her team. They will know that she got an outstanding, stellar review. And so they have a system to make sure they get recognized on many levels, not just with their bosses, but with their peers, with their team members. And I just thought that was amazing with that company that starts with a V. It was a great process.
It was a really good process. When you recognize people and you acknowledge them and you have that go out, they feel good. They feel good about themselves. They feel good that they've done a good thing. And so when we're acknowledging and we're given that recognition, recognizing what they are doing and the good things that they're putting out there, it's amazing that people will do 80% great stuff. At worst case, you might have 20% that's like, oh, come on, can you do this better? And we recognize that 20% instead of the 80. So let's focus on the 80. Let's focus on what's going right. Let's focus on what they are doing, and you will get more of it.
Yeah, a lot of the work we do is also with couples in their marriages. And we tell them, people that come claiming to have these awful marriages, you get talking to them, we find out they're focusing on the 5% of their marriage that isn't working. 95% of it is awesome, but they focus on the negative. The same thing will happen in your organization. Focus on what is working, and the other will take care of itself most of the time.
We're excited to give a free gift to you. You can get the peer process guide right here below. Go to our website at allthingspossible.biz. You can get your peer guide and find out what the peer is all about. The peer is an acronym for productive, intentional, effective resilience. And we would love to be able to give that gift to you.
And the peer guide is a program that we have custom designed to help organizations excel.
Thanks for being here with us. We'll see you next time right here